Hi, and welcome to the Boat Princess podcast. My name is Nikki Vo, and I'm your host. I'm a boat owner, a marinas owner, an international conference presenter, and a huge advocate for boating. I'm sharing the stories from every nook of the boating industry with the intention of encouraging more women to join me and for more women to get behind the helm too. I want to share the experience and opportunities of boating, of the boating industry, and I want you to join me as I bring the conversations and answer all the questions you've had. Boating is not just for the glamorous and rich and famous. It's full of beautiful and interesting people making the most of our natural environment and getting out there enjoying the waterways. So let's let off the lines, take over the helm, and escape to the world of boating. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Boat Princess podcast. I am here with someone who has their own podcast.
I do.
You do. So this will be like one of those moments, you know, when doctors are always the worst patients and...
I think it's the opposite. I actually think it's amazing because you both know how to do it. So therefore, you just skip to getting to it. If you know what I mean. Like a lot of time, it's a little bit of foreplay, a little bit of romance, getting these guests to turn and talk to you. But, you know, we're friends.
Excellent.
You can go for it.
So Cherise Reedman is the founder of Yacht Pearls of Wisdom. Welcome, Cherise.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
We are here at Met's Trade. And this is your first visit to Met's Trade, right?
It's my first time.
You're a virgin Met's Trade.
I am a virgin Met's Trade person.
What do you think so far?
I came with an open mind. I actually came because there's a lot on the agenda to do with mental health and obviously being focused on women issues. A lot of that is related to mental health. So I thought I might tag along and see what the conversation, how it was going, and, anything new that was hopefully coming on stream to support crew, So I've come with an open mind.
And you've been at the Superyacht Forum, right?
Superyacht Forum the whole time. I did go into the trade bit today, just got lost. I ended up having to leave the building to come back into the actual entrance that I knew because I couldn't find the stairs to get out.
It is enormous, isn't it? Yeah.
It is huge. There's a lot of boys everywhere. It's just big and there's loads of gadgets and buttons and yeah.
There are more women here, though, this year.
There is a surprising
Definitely.
amount of women.
Yeah.
All got the kind of same look on their face, though, to be fair.
You know what made me happy this morning, though? Because we had the breakfast briefing and the Dame Awards this morning.
Yeah.
And all the people that won something this morning, there was only 2 groups that went up that didn't have a woman with them in their group. And to me, that's major progress already, to see, more women simply up on the stage.
I think it is. I think we're hustling in it now.
Yeah.
It might be something to do with the fact we can be really organised. It's obviously a lot of organising to build a boat, launch a boat, run a boat. And obviously they've got a depth of fantastic individuals in the industry.
Yeah.
I mean, I obviously with Pearls of Wisdom, I'm talking to women that want to come out. And the talent that's coming out and being wasted is practically criminal. So it's nice to come here and see a lot of females that are making it in the industry professionally.
Brilliant. So we're going to get back to all of Pearls of Wisdom later and how that came about and your reasoning behind it and all those sorts of wonderful things and what you've achieved with it and so on and so forth, which is fantastic to hear about. I really want the audience to hear all of that. But let's start with you. Let's go back to a bit of you. Childhood, English?
Born and bred English, central England, wasn't raised anywhere near water whatsoever.
Okay.
I'm actually, you couldn't get more central to the island than me, where I grew up. Small farming town, but my first taste of travel, which has probably led to where I am, was the gap year.
Oh, the gap year.
Gap
Where did you go on the
year.
gap year?
I went to Canada for my gap year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I had a friend, how it all starts.
Yeah.
He did his gap year before university and went to Canada. And that's when I first learned about Commonwealth visas, which I think all people that live in the Commonwealth should understand because they are fantastic opportunities. And then managed to convince my family to buy me a ticket to Canada when I was 19.
Brilliant.
Absolute car crash. But, I lasted for as long as I possibly could. And then I had to come home. Nearly a year. I only had a year, but I nearly made it.
What did you do in that year?
So I've got this obsession with West Coast stuff for some reason. So I flew into Toronto. I did the train across country, which was pretty dull, to be honest. We just got drunk in the middle because I don't know if anybody was aware. In Canada, in the middle, it's just flat.
Yeah.
So on a 3-day train, day 2, there's nothing to do. So we stopped at a train station, bought homemade wine and just got drunk. But we were really cheap, so we didn't have any beds.
Yeah.
We were in the sitted seats for 3 days. But yeah, got to the Rockies, the mountains, Vancouver, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was good. And then I ended up being stuck in Calgary for a bit.
Okay.
Cowboys. It's really close. Calgary is really close in Canadian terms to the ski hills, and that's what I wanted. So yeah, hung out with the Cowboys for a bit.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then ran out of money. Didn't have anywhere to live, so made the call. Can I come home?
Oh.
I did nearly make a year.
Yeah.
But yeah, nightmare.
So then you came home.
Came home, did the normal thing, tried to get it's actually quite funny kind of asking my journey. I've reflected on it differently recently because I call myself a bit of a jack. I've had lots of different jobs in lots of different industries, couldn't really fit into anything, but I'm very observant, quick learner. And I think with doing the podcast and Pearls and stuff like that, I actually know quite a lot about a lot of different things, very worldly traveled and stuff like that. So all of those years of failing at a lot of different things and now coming together.
Life experience.
Yeah, it is life experience. But at the time, and this is one of the things that I hope, you want to pass to younger generations, at the time it was devastating because I just didn't feel like I could get it together, as a driven career woman, which so many women that I look up to, they've got solid careers and pioneers in industry and stuff like that. And I was just the one that just could get in there, understand it, given loads of responsibility, but then just couldn't. I got really bored of being in one place. Office jobs were really hard for me. So yeah, I guess it's not surprising that I ended up traveling again.
Yeah. So you ended up traveling again. And it's interesting that you say that you just weren't an office person. That's often what boating industry people are. They're just not office people.
No, it was, it's smart. My sister is we are chalk and cheese. She went and worked while she was at uni. She worked for a bank. Then she carried on working for a bank. She's had an incredible career. And I always envied her because she's got a stable career. Whenever I tried to have a stable career, it literally lasted 2 years. And then I'm like, it wasn't enough. It wasn't fast enough. It wasn't interesting enough. And fast forward to 2008, got made redundant because of the crash. What do you want to do? I haven't got anything. I was very down because I really liked the job that I was in. It was kind of research based with environmental issues, very down. And it just so happened my best friend worked for British Airways. And she was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I could get my Commonwealth visa for Australia. I've got no money. I've got like 700 quid in my bank account. She was like, I'll get you a flight. So she got me a one-way flight to Australia for £80. And I'm really sorry, Australian immigration, but I really had the $5,000. No, I didn't. I had £700 in my bank account, went to Australia. And my best friend was like, last as long as you can. Just call me if you need to get a flight back and I'll get you back. I was like, yeah, no worries. Managed to score a job straight away. And then stayed there, did that one. Then didn't have enough money to fly home, so I did the same to go to New Zealand. But then I kind of settled down and worked in a law firm and got sponsorship to stay, and I had an extended stay in New Zealand.
Nice. That's a beautiful part of the world, New Zealand.
It is. If I was an orphan, I would have stayed.
Yeah.
But I miss my family, so unfortunately I had to leave.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, travel, recreation of myself has been a massive continuous part of my life. So like I said, going back to what I've ended up doing now, maybe I am a bit of an expert in regeneration of yourself, hitting rock bottom with nothing and having to rebuild. So I've done it a few times. Yeah. Not always planned, but a few times.
Interesting. So when you came back from New Zealand, how old were you? Do you mind me asking?
So I was living in New Zealand and I came back to the UK for a holiday.
Yeah.
And one of our family friends was working for a big owner. And he said at a family barbecue, what about yachts? Because I was just literally in Queenstown trying to desperately hard to turn into a hobbit. Like literally the
in Queenstown.
Yeah, so the Remarkables.
Isn't that the most beautiful place?
The Remarkables is in the Lord of the Rings. Like, I'm no joke. I was literally trying to turn into a hobbit.
It's the most beautiful place.
Stay in the Shire forever.
Yeah.
He was like, what about yachts? I'm like, what are you talking about yachts? He was like, look, just take my card, go back to New Zealand, do some research. So I went back to New Zealand and I went back to the law firm with unlimited internet. I was like, hell yeah, I can serve rich people drinks. Like, what? Like, where has this job been? Like, that's it. Because I wanted to keep traveling. So obviously getting close to 30. Well, I was over 30 at that point. I was like, oh, maybe I'm too old. But yeah, just did what I could, passed my exams, did my SCCW in Australia, and then went to Antibes like everybody else does. Got told I was too old. I'd never get a job.
Well, that's harsh.
That kind of stuff. But I think that's the beauty of the yachting industry. If you're determined enough, there will be an opportunity, I feel.
So just explain to the listeners what your CW was you did in Australia. Just explain that to them.
The SCCW.
Yeah.
It's your basic qualification to be on board. You know, it's basically my impression of it. So I did my water rescue at the Qantas, like that we jumped out of an airplane hangar into a pool and they made it all dark and it was amazing in there. So it's just to try and stop you from dying. Basically, the SCCW is literally to just give you enough information that if there was a crisis, there's a strong chance you might survive.
Okay, gotcha.
You know,
so it's the absolute
bare minimum
of getting onto a yacht.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the bare minimum to get onto a yacht. If you've sailed and stuff like that, you'll know loads of the stuff, you know, and a lot of it is common sense. But obviously, they try to kind of expand on that, you know, putting out fires and, you know, putting you in those kind of situations. I loved it. I thought it was amazing. The Qantas like water rescue thing was amazing when they turned all the lights out, made it rain, kind of like pretend thunder and all of that kind of stuff. But I looked ridiculous in the suit because obviously they just have standard suits. And I'm, you know, for listeners, I'm 5 foot.
Yeah.
And there was literally 2 foot or half a meter of material. So it looked like I had flippers. And I'm trying to rescue someone whilst probably needing to be rescued because I'm wearing the suit and none of it fits. But yeah, I should have recorded that.
You should have recorded that. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's good fun to do. But it's really adaptable for life. You know, fire, anything to do with fire and stuff.
We should all do that really, shouldn't we?
I think so.
You know?
I think so.
Yeah.
You know, when everybody's had a barbecue that's got out of control.
Absolutely. You know? Yeah. Okay, so you've done that. You've travelled to Antibes.
Antibes.
Why do we pick Antibes?
It's the only one anybody's written about, probably. And also it's easy, you know, at that time, you know, we were part of the EU, so it's close to home. So a flight from home to Antibes is super cheap for Brits.
Very cool.
The accommodation in Antibes in March, I arrived too early. I was there end of March. I didn't get a job until May. So that was a lot of baguettes and red wine.
Yes.
To survive until then. But it's the only one, if you look up literature or experience in my day, there was the only information you could really get was about Antibes. And why would I go any further?
Yeah.
I did look into it actually in Australia, but your countries are hard to get into.
Yes, it really is.
You know, I could tell you about an incident with immigration in Australia. But yeah, you're not allowed to do training in Australia. I got in trouble because I did my CCW in Australia.
Did you?
Because I wasn't meant to do it because I was on a tourist visa.
Ah, okay.
So I didn't know that. I'm like, yeah, but it's just
a training course.
But yeah, no, immigration were not happy about that.
Okay.
You know.
Wow.
So yeah, I would have quite liked to be in an episode of Border Force, but my case ended up being quite boring in the end.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I know. I was like, yeah, I didn't have any dried fish in my bag or anything.
Yeah, we're quite interesting in that regard, aren't we? Yeah, no fresh fruit, no this, no
so
that.
yeah, on Tebe, it was.
At least they don't spray us when we land these days. We used to land from another country and they come around the airplane with this spray. And we think, what is this stuff? You know, what are we breathing in here? So
when I arrived in Australia, when I got my Commonwealth visa, so basically to get the flight for 80 quid, I was at like a standby seat. So my best friend came with me to the airport and I couldn't get on the first flight. So she was like, let's go to the bar until the next flight. By the time I got on the plane, I was hammered. Absolutely hammered. So I'm flying all the way to Australia, hammered. So
that's not unusual for Australians.
Get out at the other end. And for some reason, you know, I thought I'd be healthy and I had an apple and I'd eaten it on the plane and got off the plane and like waiting for my luggage and everything. A little beagle comes around and he sniffs. I'm like, oh, super cute. Like, anyway, and he buggers off and then he comes back and I'm like, oh, super cute. And they're like, come with us. I'm like, what? And anyway, they pull everything out of my bag. They were like, oh, he was really interested in your bag. I'm like, but why? He was like, you got any nuts, any fruit? I was like, I had an apple, but I ate it. He was like, that'll be what it is. So yeah. He asked me loads of personal questions. I said, do we need to exchange numbers? I feel like we're friends now. He was like, no, just pack your bag yourself and go. I'm like, okay.
But yeah, we're very... Oh, we don't have many diseases and all those sorts of things, so that's why we're so careful.
Don't want to let anybody away.
Yeah. Okay, so where have we got to? On Tebe.
Yeah.
So people told you wouldn't get a job, you're too old. All those sorts of things.
I had tons of hospitality experience because one of the things that I did do through all of my working careers, I worked 2 jobs. So I would do a boring daytime job and then I would have an evening job, restaurant, bars and stuff like that. Yeah, play money really. So I had tons of hospitality experience. I'd done loads of hospitality in Australia, not too much in New Zealand. But it's not like brain surgery. Like you want me to serve drinks and it's the same stuff. But the age thing was, you know, I got told that I've got one of those hexes as well. I had a visible tattoo. They were like 100% you're not going to get a job ever because you've got a visible tattoo. Because obviously we're talking a few years ago now. Yeah. But it's all just
you just
rubbish.
Persevered. Yeah.
You know, ended up working on a really nice fed trip. Kiwi captain, and then lovely boats after that. But yeah, then met my husband and everything changed.
Okay, so how long were you on boats for?
I only managed 4 years.
Okay, all right.
So I only managed 4 years and I could have stayed on, but I'd met my now husband.
Yeah.
And I'd worked for a really bitter old stew.
Right.
Now, she wasn't loads older than me. She was probably, I think she was 39 when I got on board. So pushing her 40s. It's a physical job.
Yes.
But I think the decision to stay on, not to have children, not have a stable relationship, it was really affecting her. And then she just took it out on all of us juniors underneath. She just hated our existence because we still had time to make decisions. I think that's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to be like her.
And that is really a fundamental thing for women in this industry, isn't it? We kind of have to choose.
You do, but we always have to choose. You know, if you're on land, you know, you could be having a high fly career. If you have a baby, it's very well documented, you're not going to continue probably at the level that you are.
Yeah.
You're not going to want to, if we're completely honest, because obviously when you have children, it changes your priorities massively.
Yeah.
But it's the joy of being a woman.
Yeah.
We get to choose so many great things.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. I mean, some women do it incredibly well, and some women, their husbands become the person at home, which is wonderful. But yeah, with a boat, with a yacht, you're on it full time. So
yeah, I mean, you
that's
can't
really tricky.
if you're on board and you're not having sex with anybody on board.
Yeah,
you're not going to be able to date properly.
Yeah,
and build a relationship to then move ashore. Do you know what I mean? It's very, very difficult situation. So when I met Tim, I really just sat down. I'm like, I could keep going, and financially, I probably should have, at least for a bit longer. But I didn't want to get to the point where I'm just hating being there, because I want to start the next phase of my life. So I decided on my last season, I had a great boat. I hired everybody that I wanted to work with that final time. We had a great itinerary. We went to a lot of Greece, which I love. We did some celebs and everything else. So I really wanted to finish the chapter of yachting on a high.
Yeah.
That was really important to me, because it has been important in other trips as well. Like when I traveled before, I really wanted to finish off in a nice way. So it's just always a nice memory.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just, yeah.
So how did you meet Tim?
So
is this a fun story, a bad story? What are you going to get here?
So when I was on board, I was thinking about doing the sensible thing about getting my finances in order. So I went to one of those workshop things that happen in October in Palma, and met a guy who was saying, you know, I can put you in touch with a British regulated advisor. I was like, yeah, no worries. Here are my details. Anyway, he contacted me a number of times and I just ignored his emails. Fast forward, this is the October. Fast forward to the April, Palma Yacht show's coming around, and me and the first officer, we were like, should we go and do some training courses? I say in brackets. Anybody who goes to the A crew things, the training is in the loosest. But it was a Thursday afternoon. Chief officer, chief steward, we're going to go do some training in the A crew lounge where they give you free rosé.
Nice.
So we went off, we rocked up at the A crew lounge, and the guy that had taken my details was like, oh, hi, Cherise, how are you doing? This is Tim. And I was like, oh.
This is the guy.
He was like, you're the girl that's been ignoring me. I'm like, oh, yeah. Awkward. But he was like, do you want a free rosé? I'm like, yes, I do. But it was, we started talking, and I'm, like I said, I'm a bit of a magpie for knowledge and stuff like that. And I was so bored because we've been in the yard for ages. I was trying to understand the terminology in the stock market. It sounds like a really weird thing, but if you're cleaning the crew mess, like the telly's on, there was something playing in the background. I just got fixated with trying to understand the stock market. So you ask him, he was like, I was really intimidated because you were just asking me millions of questions about world currency and this, that, and the other. And he was just like, I just wanted to give you free rosé. So we started talking. He invited me to the crew party with his fancy wristbands to have unlimited alcohol. We turned up to the crew party. He was dressed like a cowboy. Awful, awful outfit.
My husband was like that when I met him. This
dressed as a cowboy?
Shirt. No, dreadful shirt which had cactus on it.
Plaid.
Yeah.
It's just plaid.
It's amazing he got through
You think about like a cowboy, he's got his hat is like peaked at the front so he looks all sexy. Tim had it like behind his ears. It's just, yeah, anyway. And then, fast forward a million years and we never stopped talking from that moment. We've never stopped talking every single day, unfortunately, ever since.
How lovely. That's gorgeous. You know what I always say about my husband is it makes me laugh every day.
Yeah.
That is a really special thing.
It's kind of it's just a weird sensation. You're laughing, but you want to punch them in the face at the same time. I don't want to laugh at you because this is really serious and you've really wound me up. It's like, So yeah, that's why he's still alive, because he can still make me laugh.
I love it. Okay, so you've met Tim.
Yep.
What happens next?
What happens next? So Tim has been working in the industry to try and stop yachties from investing in stupid stuff.
Because to just unpack that for a minute, when you're working on a yacht, you're earning good money, plus your accommodation, your food and everything else is covered. So when you're working on a yacht, you should be saving as much as you possibly can. But does anybody actually do that?
Yeah, well, I think there's more, like, obviously back in my day, no, because I wasn't. I had a plan. I was going to buy a house, and that was about far as it went. But it's a little bit more complicated than that. You know, obviously back in my day, everybody was opening offshore bank accounts. You don't need to do that anymore. So things have changed massively. And Tim's obviously been in the game for like over a decade now. It's got a lot better. I mean, if for any crew member, if they make you do it on land, do it at sea. A boat's not going to make you pay into a pension, but if you worked on land, they'd make you pay into a pension. Same with like social security or, you know, national insurance, we call it in the UK. So if your land-based friends are doing that, you still need to do that. And then whatever you have surplus, you know, obviously save a bit, buy a house, all of that kind of, and then spank the rest. That's what you should do.
Yeah.
Because then you know, I was talking to a girl that's going on board, and we were talking, and she's joined this summer. And I was like, look, if you save a bit, pay national insurance, get yourself some income protection as well, so you've got yourself covered. You can't say anything about you buying a handbag or spending loads on a magnum of rosé. Do you know what I mean? You're doing all of the right stuff. You still get to enjoy your money.
Yeah.
And then eventually, hopefully, you grow up and stop spanking it quite so much. And put more away.
Quite. Okay. All right. So you met Tim.
Mm-hmm.
What happens next?
So I had a plan, as all chief stewards do. I'm leaving. I've got my pick. So I thought I could be a masseuse. So paid for loads of training, thousands of pounds worth of training. It will work around my lifestyle because obviously when I have a baby, I could then pick and choose my hours, all of that kind of stuff. Not thinking, because I really loved the course. I really loved doing it. But when it actually came to the practical side of the job, I forgot that when you become a chief steward, you become really, really particular about cleanliness. And when your clients come to you, you don't know what they look like or what they smell like. So after a few experiences, I'm like, I don't think I can do it because it was grossing me out.
There you go. I never had that experience. Maybe Australians cleaner.
It's just, there was just, you know, I don't know.
Because I was massage therapist for a while as well.
Yeah, so like I really I loved all of the anatomy in it and all of that kind of stuff. And most people I liked, but it was the ones I was just like, no, I don't think I can do this because it was just grossing me out, to be honest.
Yeah.
So then I was like, right, okay, rethink this. We live really close to a stately home. So when I worked with them for a bit, but I worked too fast, too well. And everybody just got really intimidated and it didn't really work. Because I just made everybody look like they weren't doing it much. Yeah. Because obviously on board, you're a million miles an hour, super efficient, very, very fast. And I worked in a place which is like they call it Hound Lodge, beautiful private lodge with its own butler. You have a number of guests come and stay there, five suites. So very, very high-end clients. And I'm in there and I'm like, this room's not cleaned properly. You know, like these people are paying £10,000 a night.
Yeah.
And it's not clean.
Yeah.
So I became really unpopular really fast. There you go. Because I brought the yacht standard and nobody understood the yacht standard. So after that, during that time I got married and then I got pregnant. So that was kind of the end. And Tim was like, stop trying and just make a person.
Fair enough.
And then, so then you get to COVID. I gave birth during COVID.
Let's go back to that comment. The yacht standard is incredibly high.
Insane.
Yeah. And for those of you that watch Below Decks,
it's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
Below Decks has been a bit of a double-edged sword. It's revealed the yachting industry to the world a lot more and shown that it exists, which is bringing a lot more people into it, which we actually need to do because it is short-staffed.
It does show you the fun side, I have to say.
It does show you the fun side. Yeah.
But I don't think it's authentic on the actual work side.
Yeah.
And I think that's where maybe individuals like, yeah, I can do that. It can be as fun after work with the below deck scenario.
Yeah. But
the work during below deck is not anywhere near as high standard as what it is.
Yeah.
And what you'll be expected to do. And, you know, boats, you have charters for a lot longer than a weekend before you're partying. You know, one of my poor friends, she is still working on a boat that's trying to enforce COVID restrictions and stop them from getting off during their rotation. mental.
Wow.
So yeah, it's not an honest reflection about what most people do, what the industry does.
Yeah. Yeah.
From that sense.
Yeah. I thought we should just mention that on this podcast because a lot of people listen to this podcast. So it's great TV. It's great drama.
It is great TV, and it does show you a lot, but it doesn't show you the professionalism, the hard graft. It just shows you what it's like afterwards. And don't get me wrong, like we were talking before we started recording, you know, I would not have wanted a camera following us crew around
No.
after the guests got off, to be honest. I probably wouldn't be able to do this. But yeah, it can be that fun, 100%. But the actual job side is not probably as authentically portrayed.
Yeah.
To a tenth of what it actually is.
Yes.
So it might be a shock to a young person.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So you've had a baby.
Yep.
And what happens now?
So I had a baby during COVID. So we went into lockdown in the March. I had Esme in the May.
Oh, that's challenging.
It was shocking.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it to anybody.
Yeah.
So managed all of that situation. You know, it's one of those things, double-edged sword. As a mum, it took the pressure off because you weren't having to do anything because we were all at home, but it was extremely isolating. And I think it pushed the boundaries of my mental health with postnatal depression. And in that kind of thinking, right, I want to be a mother, but I want to show my daughter that you can still achieve. I don't want to be a stay-at-home mum. I'll go mad clearing up after Tim and a child all day. So during one of our little nights, I'm in my dressing gown, sat in a chair, and my husband wants to do an article about why I ignored his financial advice for his website.
Oh, fun.
I'm like, brilliant. Great. Okay. So anyway, we were talking about it and I'm like, well, maybe not just me, but let's record a few women's experience and try and get some, gather some data if there's a common denominator. Anyway, we ended up doing a fabulous ladies' luncheon at a hotel. We interviewed ladies that have come off the boat, ladies that were still on, and we had ladies that work in the industry but have never worked on board. So we had a real diverse mix of female experience. We talked about finance a little bit. And then after lunch, we just opened it up to talk about the industry and the female experience in the industry as a whole.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Brilliant.
The women were in like a space where, they all knew, they felt like comfortable to share their experiences, share their thoughts, ideas. And I was like, this is amazing. You know, if you give women the time, space to kind of sit and have a chat, it's quite incredible what we can come out with.
Yeah.
So,
well, I was talking to the beautiful Erin Pickering the other day.
Yes.
And she was saying that what's really lovely about ex-crew and current crew and future crew and so getting together is they can have very real conversations about what they have done, what they do, so on and so forth. Because if you have a conversation about being crew to somebody that isn't crew, they just don't, they always ask the same questions, is it, this and is it that? And
yeah, I think it's one of those things. Once crew, always crew.
Yeah.
And when we expanded the idea, so we started with 16 ladies. We then did an event with 50.
Yeah.
The room was palpable.
Yeah.
Like they were just so happy to be in there. I hate to word, the buzzword tribe, crew, but they were back in a room where they didn't have to explain. And I think that's one of the things when you transition out. If I told you a story about I was having a tough time, okay, like absolutely I was at rock bottom, my job was a disaster, but I was rock bottom in Monaco. They're like, a land-based event, like, oh, you were in Monaco.
Yeah.
I wasn't drinking Aperol spritz off the back of the boat. I was actually having the worst time of my life. There's no context for them to kind of understand, because they get distracted by buzzwords, Monaco, Superyacht, and it's hard to have a really honest, frank conversation with anybody. The most important thing about the sentence is I'm having a hard time. So if I say that to a woman that's been on board, it doesn't matter whether you're in St. Martin, Monaco, the most glamorous locations on the planet. All she's hearing is that you didn't have a nice time. Mm. And that is something when you leave, you miss. You just, you have to self-edit all the time. Not because anybody is making you, but they just don't understand what you've been through.
Mm. And that's, I guess, why, I mean, your experience of coming off the boat was a very tough one, a really hard one for you. And that's where the whole Yacht Pearls of Wisdom has come from, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what was that was obviously your inspiration. This was tough. I don't want this, everybody to go through this. But why did you think I'm going to do something about it? What was because everybody can think that, but to actually do something about it, you decided to, didn't you?
My initial thought was like when I was having a tough time, because like I said, I'm a bit of a magpie, and I've always been a bit of a believer that with the right amount of information and knowledge, you might be able to fix something if you're willing to like learn about it. And I was looking for where women went. So I'm having a tough time. Right. I need to find the women that have also left to find out how they felt and like whether it is me and I am going crazy or does everybody feel the same? And I couldn't find them. It's like they stepped off the boat and disappeared into the ether. Women, obviously, if you think about the amount of articles that are written about women in the industry, obviously it's, the percentage is quite low. Out of the industry, the industry is not going to give you any time. You're not relevant anymore. And obviously there's lots, thousands of women that leave the industry. So what happened to them? So it started with a question, where did they go? And then when I started to connect with people, we came together. When I was doing the first initial luncheon, there was a few things that happened simultaneously. And I was like, maybe I could try to help. There was my husband was developing a income protection package. To just explain it in real terms, the boat will cover you for certain amount of time. So say, for instance, you get cancer on board, the boat is not legally obliged to cover you for much at all. But my husband was developing, so we call it income protection, but just think of it as additional insurance. So the boat will stop paying. You still got a mortgage, you still got bills to pay. So he developed a package where your own insurance kind of kicks in and then you're looked after. When we were doing the first initial meal, there was a story coming out about a girl that there was a crowdfunding page in the industry to try and raise money because they basically were just trying to save her life because she had cancer. And that was happening at the same time. And I just thought, what knowledge I had wasn't enough to pass on to help. Gem is her name, but maybe we can get the knowledge out to the next Gem, because there will be another, but we try and help her. So I thought I'd just try. I wasn't really doing much else. I was looking after my daughter. It's still relevant to the industry. And I really wanted to not walk away and never be part of the industry ever again, especially because I've got a partner working in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought we'd give it a shot.
Yeah.
And then we did another event and then another event. And then, we started collecting all of this information, who to point you in the right direction for what problem. And then we launched an app as well. So I kind of gone with the flow.
Yep.
With it.
Yep.
I think you have to. I'm going to change my middle name to Pivot because business and anything like this, you just got to, you think it's going to be like this and it's just not.
Yeah.
So you just got to keep pivoting.
Yes.
I can't wait for that word to not be relevant to my life. It's really hard to embrace the word, but things keep falling into place, and hopefully obviously it's culminated for me being here.
Yeah. So you have a membership?
We have a membership. So basically we were desperately trying hard. So the events are amazing.
Yes.
One lady came up to me after one event. She was like, I've cried 3 times, but I feel amazing. I'm like, right, I don't know if that was what I was going for, but the relief when you're in a room with a whole bunch of people that understand you, they just get you. And these women had just felt so alone and isolated. It was just quite an insane experience. And then obviously we had guest speakers that opened up about their stories. So how do we bottle that and then reach out to the wider industry. And that was always the conundrum. So we started an app. So all of our resources were on that. But again, 50 people at a time, I'm not going to get very far.
Yes.
And yeah, so last Christmas, a lady that works with me, Max, which is my right-hand woman for this, she was like, we need to do a podcast. And I was quite poorly at the time last Christmas. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll look into it. She was like, we need to do a podcast. So I was off my face on painkillers and she's like sending me podcast stuff. I'm like, can you not understand? I'm feeling very down. I'm eating a lot of mince pies. And then eventually I was like, right, fine, I'll look at it. And it has been probably the best part, because now we've got the stories and we keep putting out the stories. Because I could sit in a room and lecture people about how they should live their life, financially, maritally, career, all of that kind of stuff. But that's not how women exchange information, you know. And I think that's why podcasts have taken off, because we can have a chat about stuff that we've got through. Somebody will listen to it, and then when that situation arises, that they'll remember the story, and it gives them an idea of where they can maybe fix their situation.
Absolutely.
I think that's how, if you go back to the days, you know, when we were around the washing well, quick pot, and women talk too much. But I don't think we talk too much. It's how we work things out and how we exchange information and knowledge, and how how a matriarchal group of women functions.
Well, what I think is really interesting about that is that, and I see it happen, we have a girls' getaways business in Australia called Venus Getaways, and groups of girls come and stay at our house in Blue Mountains or Mollymook. And
Sounds terrible.
Oh, it's awful. You know, the Blue Mountains, when they have a butler looking after them, massages on site, all that sort of thing. But it's fascinating seeing the conversations that happen, and they are, you know, they're usually a group of the same age, and they're all talking about the things that they've got going on in the world and the problems that they're having. And then they suddenly realize that they've all got the same problem, and that that in itself makes them feel better.
Yes.
Because they suddenly realize, okay, it's not just me. Just like you said when you got off the boat, is it just me?
Yep.
Or are there other people going through this? That is exactly what it is. And when a bunch of women get together, we do discover, okay, she's been through exactly the same as me or worse than me. And she got through that.
Yeah.
So
I can too.
Yeah. It's absolutely brilliant. So that, and this podcast talks about those things sometimes too, but I just love seeing it happen, because they all suddenly feel this sense of relief that it's okay. I can get through this, because she's done it 2 years ago. Yep. She's done it 4 years ago. And they both had exactly the same problem.
Yep. That's what our events were like. You know, I didn't really understand what I was creating at the time.
Yeah.
If I'm completely honest. But it's so extreme for women when they leave.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with so many things all at the same time. Community is important, but it doesn't even need to be that specific. You are working out a whole bunch of stuff, but sometimes it's just nice, like you say, to just hang out with some people, some ladies that are kind of very similar. I think there is a lot, there's lots changing in society. I think you can be all of the same age. And one of the reasons why pearls of wisdom, like passing it back. And I think what's become really prevalent with pearls that I didn't expect is the transfer of information back. Now, the power dynamic on board is always not in our favor, because you could have a chief steward who's 26, captain who's 50. The power dynamic's not always on our side, kind of thing. So with pearls, if you start feeding information to the 26-year-old to help support them deal with a lot of the stuff that goes on board, I think that needs to kind of be, that's what we've ended up creating. Yeah. And that's why I'm here at Meds. Because women need support, but it is the right kind of support, and ladies that work on board, it's not until you leave you realise how much you miss the support of an older woman. prime example of this, we've discussed obviously when things go wrong on board. If I was in the crew mass as a 27-year-old, an engineer who's 30-something is being really inappropriate with another member, a female member of crew, 27-year-old me might have chirped up or kind of probably more tried to nicely maneuver the female away. 40-year-old me would have told him to just do one.
Yeah.
And that's where we're starting to see, maybe that's why we become more vulnerable on board than what we expect, because there isn't the seniority in the female side of things to stop things from happening, because they would on land.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, we're getting deep.
Sorry.
But it's good deep.
Yeah.
It's really real deep and really good deep. And it's something that needs to be talked about and thought about. And that's what your Tales from the Superyacht Laundry podcast really bring to the fore, don't they? Those real stories of what goes on.
We're only about real stories. And like you said, these are insane stories. Like women have gone on to do some, like I'm in awe of what women have gone on to create. So when a woman's on board and she's like, I have no idea what I want to do next, that's what we want the podcast to do. Like start planting ideas and, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to become an entrepreneur, but there are tons of women that have tried to be and have become very successful entrepreneurs because they're so far behind in the career ladder when they step off. Mm-hmm. It is that perfect opportunity. If there's a thing that you wanted to do, you can just maybe try it because you haven't got nothing to lose because you haven't even started building that yet.
Well, plus being on a boat, you are continuously solving problems.
Yeah.
And most entrepreneurial pursuits are the solving of a problem. So that in itself, and you have to be so adaptable on a boat, and you have to work very, very hard. And your body has to deal with situations, you might be working a full 18-hour shift and your body just has to push through it, So, and that is another thing that entrepreneurs have to do. So I think that may be why they're just that style of person.
Doers.
Yeah.
100%. And like the boat, working on a yacht, you're a yes person. You will say yes to the boss first before you say no.
Yeah.
And that continues. You really just like, well, I'll give it a crack, see if I can have a go before you go no.
Yeah.
And that will continue in your normal life on land.
Yeah. Yeah. This has been a fantastic conversation. I've really enjoyed it. It's been so good talking to you, Cherise.
Pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
What is your dream for the Yacht Pearls of Wisdom? Where would you like to see it go?
Where would I like to see it go? I would like to just connect. Obviously I'm talking to ladies in Australia. The app that we've got, although we've not really used it in the way that it's actually technically designed for, is that when you step off, you can find ex-crew members. So if you're in Sydney, you can put that you're in Sydney and then you can connect to other ex-crew members that are in Sydney. And that is one part of it that I would really like to achieve, because the loneliness, the ex-crew members can't help you with how you're going to feel necessarily, because it's hard. It's just, you've got to adapt and change so much, but it's at least give you an opportunity to connect with people that will understand what you're going through. And I think that's a huge step in the right direction. And then we just keep building the library that, any information that you need on whatever facet, we can point you in the right direction, tell you an inspirational story, any struggle you've got. We just keep building to do that. That's the dream.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
So
Absolute
good to
pleasure.
meet you. Yeah, so good to meet you. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that episode with Cherise Reedman. How does everybody get hold of you?
yachtpearlsofwisdom.com. Obviously, we're on social media as well. So, yeah, you can just find us.
Yeah, so that's yachtpearlsofwisdom.com. Get in touch with Cherise if you are anyone that would like to stay in contact with ex-crew, or just anyone that thinks they need to reach out to her, please do. Thanks, Cherise.
You're welcome.
And we'll see you on the water soon. Well, it's been lovely to have you listen out there, folks. I really appreciate your ears. And if you'd like to get in contact, just follow me on Instagram at The Boat Princess, and perhaps leave me a comment on today's picture of our podcast so that we can get an idea of what you thought about it. That'd be lovely. Take care, and we'll see you on the water soon.